Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another live stream here this evening. I know crypto is getting demolished again. Now, it wouldn't be a bear run right now, man. It would just be a reaction to the it's a micro reaction to the news. But for all the top alts and for Bitcoin, I don't think the narrative changes with the cycle. Is it market manipulation? Well, they've been known to do that. That is true with the tariff. I don't know what he's doing, Trump. He just put 100% tariff on China for probably a few days, and then he's going to bring it back down for some type of negotiation. I don't know. He says China's negotiating out of bad faith, or they're starting to become aggressive with all these countries, apparently. What do you make of Rogan going after Trump? One of the most pathetic things I've seen. I'm sick of these comedians. These comedians, they only got on the Trump train because it was advantageous for themselves, because of how bad Kamala was, but they don't want any criticism. So they get it. Look at someone like Rogan. Rogan didn't even endorse Trump until the night before the election. That dude plays both sides like you wouldn't even know, Rogan. And now Rogan wants to come out and say, well, we didn't think this is what would happen. This is exactly what Trump ran on. This is not even any like this is what it is. We have the most illegal immigrants out of any country in the world. Of course, we're going to deport them. We've offered them $1,000 to leave by themselves. And he's going to do the hissy fit bullshit thing, the liberal propaganda. Oh, you're evil. It's just ridiculous. I saw that. I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but these comedians, they try and just play the fence because of their fans. They don't really have any political prowess. But even with someone like Rogan, you would think at a certain point you would have an actual position. And maybe his position is just, I mean, is there anything really honorable about doing this thing where it's like, well, when it's popular, I'm going to be a Republican, but I got to make sure I can still somewhat be a liberal? Like, that's an actual political, that's not even a position. It's like, how do I argue with that? You're just going to, one day you're liberal, the next day you're conservative. Who do you have in the South Florida game? I think I picked South Florida. Trade drama is just pushing the crypto bull run off by a couple months. In my opinion, it's getting nuked in the near term, though. Rogan is a coward. Dude, the problem with crypto, it's more so like my lower cap memes. I mean, I think most of you guys, the general narrative, it has to be the same. I mean, Bitcoin's at 100. I mean, unless Bitcoin like sees a crazy drop where it goes under 100K. I mean, Ethereum is dropping like crazy right now, though. That's not good. But I agree with you. Unless there's some crazy Bitcoin cascade or Ethereum drop where it goes like under 3,500, I think the general thought is that there still will be a good run for I mean, because you still have the rate cuts coming, and you still have the 4 year cycle narrative. Are you winning on sports betting or no? I don't sports bet. I mean, I pick the games and I try and beat the spreads. That's my number one goal when I predict, really, is to just beat the spreads rather than pick a winner. Because anyone can pick a winner in most of these college games. The spreads are like fucking 20 points for half of them. I just try and beat the spreads in every basically prediction. How do you think the situation with China is going to go? Well, I don't exactly know what China's done that to piss Trump off. Apparently, Trump said they're being hostile, and that really started the negativity in the stock market earlier today. He put out a Truth Social. You know, it was another one of his essays. He puts out this Truth Social, and I mean, you would hope that considering everything, I mean, we've come so far to try and get this deal over the finish line, and they've got the framework for the deal, and they keep delaying it to try and get to the end and actually reach the agreement on some type of deal. With the tariffs are going to remain on China at like 30 or 45%. Obviously, China did something where Trump wasn't happy, so Trump probably wants to enter another negotiation with them, so he hit them with a 100% tariff. It's not going to remain. It can't remain, and it's not the right time for this, really. Um, to rehash this, that we just went through this in April. But I mean, obviously, when you look at like the higher valued assets, they're really not going to be hit much at all. Like the stock market is at an all time high. What is it really going to do with a 100% tariff on China for a few days? It'll go down a little bit. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any real big issue. Trump knows that the midterms are a year away. You really need to make sure the economy is in good shape, and so whatever this is, I think it's going to be a very temporary thing. But that's a lot of the predictions when it comes to Trump and the tariffs. Ceasefire now crowd has been oddly silent the past 48 hours. Well, they're hoping. The crazy thing with those people is they hope it doesn't last. Yeah, they don't want to give Trump. The last thing they want to do is give Trump credit. And those people, and look, whatever you want to say about it, you want to call it. Look, I wish I could really speak candid on this, but it's very, there's a lot of stuff going on. Just say, most of these people, they all come out and they say how horrible it is, and they say it's this genocide. And you've got Trump, and that's all they've been saying. They say this is the worst thing in the world. This is the worst thing we've seen in the past 20 years, 30 years. And Trump ends it. And there's no, okay, so now it's over. And again, we'll see if it holds, but still, it's like you'd think there'd be, I mean, these people have been saying how horrible and just terrible the situation is. And there's not one iota of credit that's given to Trump. Okay, I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. But it's just funny how it's like the worst thing in the history of the world, and then Trump actually ends it, but then there's no credit for ending it. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. And this is, by the way, this is on CNN and all these. CNN's like, we have to admit, Trump, like, networking and talking to all these other Gulf state countries, that's what really created this opportunity, because now all the other Arab countries are on the side of peace, and they were pushing Israel and Hamas to have a peace deal. So it really was Trump, and it was the Middle East trip that he went on. He secured a lot of investment, but it's more so just a relationship builder. And I mean, they were able to get peace out of it with this. And they can just say, well, it's not going to last. That's the exact same thing with the Iran war. It's like, well, it's not going to last. Okay. I mean, I don't know. What do you want me to try and predict if the peace deal is going to last or not? Do I sell Bitcoin and buy silver now? Bro, if I would have transferred my crypto into Bitcoin in March of 2024, dude, that's a thing with but it's like, what do you even do at this point? I got to really look at some things and come with I have to come up with an official investment strategy. I really have to, and I think we have to stay in the coins you're in for this cycle and just take it. But yeah, I mean, because what else are you going to do? I mean, you're just going to get boomers recommending you buy Bitcoin, basically, or buy gold. But I mean, gold and silver are bad investments. They're reaching new all-time highs. You're going to buy gold at an all-time high. Gold has outperformed the S&P 500 like the past 10 years. Is that really going to continue? At a $27 trillion market cap, that's going to continue. It's going to outperform the S&P. Highly, highly, highly doubtful. But I mean, the boomers at Costco that bought all the gold bars and stuff in 2020, I mean, that's fine. They had a good investment. But it's not sustainable when you've got a market cap of 27 trillion. You really think you're going to see a similar rate of return that we've seen? I mean, obviously the precious metals, they're doing very well right now. The ceasefire isn't going to hold. Since when has Israel ever kept their word on ceasefire? Ceasefire will hold dependent on if Israel feels that they've been their image has been tarnished to the point to where they can't really afford to continue the war. I mean, this is the exact same shit script we heard with Iran. The exact same script, and maybe the Iran situation will get hot again. But I mean, we're gonna go through the same thing. Remember that deal happened in what, June? It's been 4 months, 5 months. They're like, well, this is for sure gonna kick up again. All right. Well, we'll see. Your 93-year-old Grammy asked you about Bitcoin. Yeah, I know. But even Bitcoin, I mean, I would say Bitcoin is probably still a better, I mean, I don't know, man. Because it's at the point where it's over 2 trillion. Probably still a better investment than the S&P, but the law of diminishing returns is really going to hit Bitcoin. I mean, unless you think it really is going to outperform, like you really think it's going to outprice gold and become the most valuable asset outside of like real estate. But there were a few other things. I was looking at the most valuable total assets. Real estate is number one, like the total amount of land, I guess. But just gold is actually number one in terms of assets. I don't know, man. I think Bitcoin will probably still do well, like relative to other safety options for Americans. The S&P, Nasdaq, QQQ, gold, silver. Eagles were horrible. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the Eagles are not going to do anything this year. It's so hard to repeat. I know the Chiefs did it, but it's so hard to repeat. It really is. That's the thing, and also the Hurts really is just not a good thrower. He can't throw well. They run that gimmick offense where Hurts is like a dual threat, and then they have to do the constant push. Which I mean, they really should have gotten rid of that play, but do you think the Giants have what it takes to win the Super Bowl? No, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. The Giants, they'll be happy with a 7-win season. The Giants, I think. Can you talk about Rogan beliefs? Well, Rogan is like an independent, and that's what those type of people do, to where they're really not tethered to a specific party. Because if Trump does something and then I'm forced to defend it, okay, so those type of people, they don't want any accountability defending either of the parties. Like, Trump is doing all these terrible ICE raids, and so Rogan doesn't want to have to defend it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, this is as simple as it can get. Trump said he was going to deport all the illegal immigrants, and which, by the way, he's not going to. Because it's not, there's too many illegals in the country to deport them in 4 years. So he's not even going to deport all the illegals. But Trump makes a campaign promise saying he's going to deport all the illegals. So we start deporting all the illegals. Now suddenly we can't deport them because we're mean. It's like, we're really not going to do this, man. But Rogan, I mean, he's always been like this independent, and he just doesn't want any accountability on either. That's why you stay independent. When you're a public figure like that, it's so easy to just be independent. People think, well, you get hit with criticism from both sides. But as a podcast, that's the easiest thing you can do, because you can say, well, if everybody doesn't like this thing, it's like the Penguin guy. He says just the common opinion. Why would you leave the country for 1,000 when you could get 3 times that much to stay? What do you mean? No one who's paying $3,000 to illegal immigrants, maybe through illegal jobs. Streets in the 90s look way different. Yeah, look at any major city demographic shift since the 80s or the 90s. You won't find it. This is not normal in other countries. You don't find this. These massive demographic shifts of these cities. It's insane. And they think it's like normal, and obviously it's going to change the life quality. My god. Like, no, we're not born yesterday. The culture has a major impact. Ethnicity has a huge impact in terms of way of life and lifestyle for countries. And you look at any of these major cities, all the major cities, all of them. What did he think Trump meant by deporting all illegals? Well, he just seems his timeline, and it's like, oh, this is mean. You know, it's like the most liberal propaganda slop imaginable. Yeah, Trump's got like some healthcare thing. Do you see that from the White House tweeted that out? Some healthcare thing. I don't know what it is. How these liberal streamers, like these Hassan Piker simps, they're like, well, Hassan did something that's bad, but there's a genocide going on. Uh, bitch, Trump ended the genocide. You didn't hear? You didn't hear? But I love the liberal whataboutism. Yeah, we did something bad, but there's a genocide going on, so it shouldn't matter. Like, what are we in third grade? Cultural enrichment. That's it's all fucking bullshit. It's complete horseshit. But they know it's horseshit. I mean, the relationship with immigrants is poor to say the. I mean, they come in to do jobs that Americans don't want to do. I mean, that's it's a terrible thing. That's really not what immigration should be. But because these people come from such bad countries, they'll come and do really bad jobs in the United States just to live here. But it's a horrible relationship. And when you import a lot of them, it's going to become a huge issue. But even now, I mean, I look at it and I don't think there is any. I don't think there's any. The demographics have shifted too far. Have you talked about tariffs going on in China? Yeah, I talked about that. It's got to be temporary, man. I mean, that had a bad reaction with the markets. Obviously, when you slap 100% tariff on China, is what it is. I think it's got to be temporary. There's something that happened with China. I don't know what they're doing, but they're aggressive trading with other countries or maybe tariffing other countries, and Trump didn't like it. So he slapped 100% tariff on them. They were at what, 35% total tariff, 45%. I guess it gets up to 100 for a very short period, I think. They're going to negotiate it down, and China's going to have to stop doing whatever, Trump said they were acting out of line. So, I mean, we'll have to see what the Chinese say about it. Norway won't exist at this rate come 2050. Yeah, some of those so those smaller countries in the northern Europe are just getting wrecked with the immigration. I mean, I'd have to see the rates of it, but their population is so small it doesn't take a lot. The United States, because we've got a bigger population, but even our country is getting ravaged with it heavily, and it's not sustainable. But it's not even the illegal immigration. I mean, that's the thing with Rogan. You're talking about illegal immigration. I mean, we're past illegal immigration, man. That should be agreed upon at this point. Like, it's more so the limiting of the legal immigration and just immigration in general. Which are worse, Mexicans or Indians? What do you mean in terms of immigration? Well, I think Mexicans are more conservative. Hispanics, but I don't know. I haven't seen the Indian numbers, but there definitely are more Hispanics or Latin Americans in the country. What do you think of the market today? It's not doing well because of the tariff announcement. I mean, the market's fine. You know, if your 401k, all of that stuff, it's been pumped to shit. People are worried. But they always do the same thing. It's like, oh, it's a bubble. It's a new all-time high, and then everyone just says it's a bubble. Yeah, you know, I heard that because they have another No Kings protest, Chuck Schumer was like, "Well, we can't shut the government down until that No Kings protest happens, because all these liberals are gonna assemble on the streets and stuff." The issue for Schumer is, you know, he's already so disliked within the Democratic Party within Congress. If imagine he caves to Trump like 5 days before whatever this No Kings arrangement is, they're gonna be protesting Schumer then. So Schumer, like that's the thing with these protests. I mean, it's like they can't even do politics. The Democrats can't do politics. They're scared of their own people. Schumer's like, well, I can't cave in right now because they're doing this fucking protest. They do the protest. They're going to be protesting me if I cave into Trump within the next few days because they're doing another one of these protests, I guess. Labor Department going back to work for the inflation report. I mean, we got to look at Trueflation or something, although it is different, but we can get estimates if they're not going to give us an inflation report this month because of the government shutdown. We need the report. We need the numbers. Are the tariffs working on China though? I know somebody who bought goods from China and the seller undervalued their product by 10x to avoid most tariffs. Yeah, no, it depends what you buy, but I buy products directly from China from time to time, and there was a originally it was like impossible. So like, back in April, you go on any of these Chinese vendors or these sites, it's a complete joke. It's a complete joke. You wouldn't be able to buy anything. It was marked up to shit. Then it takes about 3 months. They bring everything down, and everything's at the exact same price. And there's still supposedly these tariffs. It's at the same price. Now I don't know what this tariff is going to do, but the tariff there was really after about 3 months the prices came back down. They all came down. Why do you hate Latino immigrants? They're Catholic. Well, I'm just really anti-immigration. I think we should shut the border down. Indians are pretty conservative. You work with them and they hate illegals and support Trump tax policies. Meanwhile, Mexicans wave the Mexican flag in LA. Well, no, I mean you could find anecdotal evidence of each of them being conservative or liberal, or I know what you're saying. I mean I saw those images, but I just think on average Hispanics have broken more conservative. But I mean, like it doesn't even matter. Do you think we'll be back on Monday? What do you mean, like the stock market? It'll probably rebound. I mean, it'll depend on like the rumor mill. If Trump plans, I'm sure there's going to be something that gets released if Trump decides to end or thinking about ending the tariffs. It's just like a negotiating tactic. The market will rebound, but see if I can find like the market. It's been a month since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I saw that. There was a where's that website? I wonder if it's on here. It's probably on Rapid. I think it was Rapid. The drug prices. That website that Trump launched reminds me of what Mark Cuban had. You know, the Trump coin is getting just destroyed. Trump's meme coin on Solana. Uh, Trump had some type of press conference there. Trump RX. Find your medication, Trump RX, for the lowest price. This is like the Mark Cuban shit. You know, it's like a marketplace where you compare all the prices and they give you the lowest one, basically. The lowest prescription price. Yeah, they want to launch this in January. They're trying to get some people like that, people for the midterms and shit. What about the soybean meme coin? I don't know about that, man. XRP went down to $1.50. Robinhood wasn't letting people buy in. No way. XRP went down to $1.50. That would be a sell off of hundreds of billions of dollars in its market cap. That seems impossible. Wasn't it at like $3.50? Nasdaq 420 has bottomed. No, I agree with you. I think you just got to stay in it if it's a good accumulation zone. Made almost 2K today playing with the whales. What, shorting? XRP went that low today. Dude, I'll be honest. You know, they said they had improved their dude, Uniswap. There's Ethereum. Ethereum, I think, is gonna struggle. You know, I hope it has a good. I hope it has a good. Hopefully, it has a good cycle. I mean, it's already struggled, dude. You can't use Uniswap. I mean, Uniswap. What is the purpose of using? And then they've got, oh, you transfer it from a wallet. You know, I was trying to transfer a coin today. It's like $109 in gas fees on Ethereum network to transfer. I wasn't even selling. It's $109 in gas fees. Well, you can't be doing this. You said you improved the gas fees. I know they launched Base, the layer 2, and you know, Base or Coinbase did, and it's, you know, it has really low fees, but Ethereum itself, trading on Ethereum during like a market sit time where there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of traffic, Ethereum is not going to survive. It's just not. That's just not manageable. And then the number one DEX can barely. You can't even use Uniswap. Uniswap is slow even when there's no traffic. It's a tough user experience. Look at Uniswap compared to Phantom. Sell your Ethereum. No, I wouldn't sell Ethereum right now. I would not sell Ethereum right now. I would not be selling Ethereum right now if you own Ethereum. But I think you might get a 2x off of it, so you get a 100% increase within probably the next 6 or 7 months. What is it at right now? 4,000, 3,900. I mean, I hope the top is at 10,000 for Ethereum. You'd get over 100% increase. But now is not the time to sell Ethereum. You'd be panic selling and buying into the S&P. I mean, obviously you should know with crypto there's more range. There's more volatility to it. But you're panic selling at a low. You're getting scammed paying that much in gas fees. For me, it's like, it's nothing to do with getting scammed. That's the network gas fees because of the traffic. It's been a constant problem with Ethereum. Good time to buy BTC right now, sitting around 112K. Yeah, I mean, but if you're buying BTC, that's a DCA already. If you're buying BTC, you should be DCAing it. It really, whether you buy it at 120 or well, it does make a difference. It does make a difference, but BTC is a DCA type thing because it's already so high in market cap. It's like, you'll buy it'll be a little bit higher, it'll be a little bit lower. It's like it's graduated. It's now considered part of the club by a lot of people. Like the long-term, normie American investment club. It's like BTC, S&P, NASDAQ, other index funds, VU. You'll hear a lot of that. And you get your 10%, 12% return a year on average. I don't know. You're not using Ethereum, man. You're not using the Ethereum network. There's no way you've never run into a gas fee issue on Ethereum. You're not using Ethereum if you've never run into a gas fee problem. You're probably trading Bitcoin on Coinbase, if I had to guess. And yeah, there's not going to be a high fee on that. You've been DCAing BTC since 35K. I mean, that's a good job. It's a good job. It's a fundamentally sound play. Hopefully you invested a lot, at 35, 40K. Bitcoin's never going to see prices like that again, that's for sure. It might go down under 100 again, but can't see 35 or 40K. Can't see under 50. Thoughts on Belichick? It's a disaster. Belichick really hurt his legacy with the fling with the girl, and the girl is now like really the general manager of Belichick, and she controls everything. And she's 24, and it's like, all right, dude, I guess congratulations. But even the dynamic of that type of relationship, you can say, well, because he's rich and famous, he can have a 24-year-old girlfriend. But that dynamics, and then on top of that, she's got a power trip. And she's bossing everyone around from what you see, and she's like controlling Belichick even. And Belichick is just, I mean, this is like the inverse of Urban Meyer with the Jaguars is Belichick at UNC. Great NFL coach. This is like, I mean, UNC, it is a debacle. Which is kind of surprising because you would think UNC would really shill out for players from the portal if they get someone like Belichick. And evidently they really didn't. I mean, I guess they got a few players. Why is Rogan bitching? Because of the deportations. His career is an odd mirror of Nick Saban's. But Saban really wasn't that bad in college. And also Saban, or Saban really wasn't bad in the NFL. He was not great, but he was like a 500 NFL coach. He only coached like 2 years in the NFL. What are the chances Russia-Ukraine war ending before the end of the year? You imagine if Trump were to somehow close it before the midterms? I think there's a possibility it certainly ends before the midterms. I mean, that would be amazing. Imagine the summer of 26 it ends. How awesome would that be? Because think about it. We got this ending now in October. I mean, it has to stay ended, and we'll see if the ceasefire gets broken. But imagine, I mean, I would say I think the perfect timing. I mean, you want it ended at any point, but the perfect timing politically would be like the summer of 26. Remember the Roe v. Wade in 22, the summer of 22, really hurt Republicans. What about maybe this war ending? Maybe this is the narrative in 26. Liberals, I'm sure they hope it's something to do with Epstein or something like that. What if it's the war ending? That's the big thing. And then Trump really pushes for the Nobel Peace Prize. And how insane is that? How about the commission of the Nobel Peace Prize? They're like, we're not going to give it to Trump because he's a mean person. He doesn't have values. And then the woman that they give it to, the Venezuelan woman, Machado, she's like, I want to dedicate it to Trump. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. The own Nobel Peace Prize Commission is like, we can't give it to Trump because he's mean. And then they're like, we're going to give it to this lady instead. And then the lady's like, thank you for giving it to me. I dedicate it to Trump. Wow. And they gave it to her, and she's like opposition to the socialist, far left movement there in Venezuela. She's the opposition. XRP did go down to $1. I mean, who sold? How much money did? Dude, that had to have been like Mega Whale or of some type of someone unloading a mass amount, some corporation unloading their XRP, man, for it to shoot down to $1.50. There's too much liquidity, you would think, for it to shoot that low. I mean, that's a coin that its market cap is hundreds of billions of dollars. What is it, like 300 billion? I mean, I guess it's possible if it's only 300 billion. You legitimately forgot Eric Trump existed? No, I know Eric because Eric always talks about crypto. That's why I see Eric, his tweets and his quotes sometimes, because it's always about Bitcoin or something. Ethereum. He's into Ethereum. This is the thing with Trump. Trump, the brand, took a big hit financially during his first term. I think it shaved off because people think, well, Trump used the office to, make money and sell his name. His first term, I think he lost $2 billion in net worth, just Trump. And, that's the entire brand. You can say, well, Donald Trump's net worth, it's the Trump brand, the entire family. They've gained, I mean, and it's all through crypto. They're facilitating this through crypto. They've gained maybe $4 or $5 billion and this is speculation. You look at his net worth, it's all speculation. Nobody knows for sure. But they launched that Trump meme coin. And I don't know how much they made off of that. It's impossible to say because those numbers they won't even say how many coins are in circulation. And then you've got the other, the World Liberty Financial, which really is just a Trump branded coin that has utility, maybe, kind of. I mean, these coins, what is the utility? Well, it's bridging, DeFi to, general finance. Like, I mean, come on. But basically, Trump wanted to launch a coin that had utility, so they launched World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial, I think its total market cap, fully diluted, is still 20, well, maybe it's less now. Everything's taken it. But the point is that Trump lost a lot of money his first term. His second term, they made a lot of money, and it's pretty much all through crypto. Trump's made a lot of money through crypto this second term, and I think he's added $2 or $3 billion back to his net worth through crypto. But I don't know if they add that in speculation on how that works with the net worth and stuff, because I think it's probably a lot of speculation. I mean, how can you really tell how much Trump owns in, a digital asset? You could have made over 10K on NQ drop, only made 400. Are you a fan of Katie Porter? That's a nasty woman. That really is. Really, even for California. And I don't think California can't do that. That is one, like, say what you want about Newsom, but at least Newsom looks the part. That woman is grotesque, and just even the personality is grotesque. Like, there is video after video of her, and she's bossing around her staff, and she's screaming at them. I mean, it's like an Ellen DeGeneres 2.0. What price did you first buy BTC, and what is your average cost on your position? I don't have any. I don't own any Bitcoin. No, I don't own any Bitcoin. China is apparently refusing to export their precious metals. Well, I mean, it has to be something. Trump just will random. People think, well, maybe Trump would just randomly tariff them, but in a situation like this, with where the market is, I don't think Trump would put a tariff on them for no reason. And there's some, obviously they're doing something where they're not cooperating. It has to be. Thoughts on Tucker? I haven't seen anything. I don't know what happened with Tucker Carlson. This is the thing you're talking about. They're imposing large scale export controls on virtually every product they make, some not even made by them, affecting all countries without exception. Unheard of in international trade, moral disgrace dealing with other nations. 100% tariff on China, over and above any tariff they are currently paying, happening November. Oh, yeah. So this is just a negotiation. This has got to be just a negotiation. China has some type of rigid policy, I guess, where they're playing hardball in trade. This is it's a time frame again for Trump, November 1st. But this is another one of those things where people will just say, well, Trump's bluffing. I'm shocked the markets responded that negatively because I don't really think Trump would go through with this. But I mean, he went through with it in April. Trump made Lithium Americas Corp the biggest U.S. lithium miners. What, does he have a stake in them? Russia is rationing fuel. I don't think they can hold much longer. Yeah, but they would be negotiating if they really were in a dire situation, because they would lose leverage if people knew that they were rationing fuel or they were running into an issue. People still think China isn't the enemy they are. Yeah, they're the biggest adversary to the United States. But we're it's like there's so much infighting domestically. Does it even matter at this point? I mean, they're really like, just look at the Charlie Kirk assassination. We can talk about China, and that's a left to right disagreement. They say Russia, we say China, but it's like there's so much fighting domestically. You can talk about foreign adversaries. I mean, look at even the situation now, how it's evolved to where Trump is he's on Ukraine's side against Russia. The entire liberal narrative was Trump is going to help Russia, and now he's on Ukraine's side. So it's like, I don't even think that's that huge of a thing anymore. Like, who's our biggest adversary? I think it's just all this domestic infighting in the United States, which I'm sure China loves. China funds a lot of these leftist movements around the world. I mean, but a lot of countries get accused of doing that. I mean, that's like an Israel Qatar type thing. They both fund in the United States, and there's always going to be influence. And I would agree. I think China, for sure, they have to be the biggest ones that are the most. Why would look at their GDP, look at their economy, look at their country size, look at their military might. They're probably number one in terms of trying to manipulate the U.S. public and like create an internal war situation, because they're the biggest adversary and they have the most assets to do it out of any country.
Tech Trek Innovations tip $9.99 through Super Chat. Just arrived in China now.
You arrived in China for vacation? Look at this major crypto glitch block buys during Bitcoin dip below 60K. Oh, so it was a glitch on XRP. Yeah, there's been a lot of problems today with this stuff. I guess Bitcoin, maybe some of the top alts glitched and dipped extremely far. They're saying Bitcoin dipped to 60K. Trump awards Charlie Kirk Medal of Freedom. Biggest liquidation event in crypto history, 9x larger than FTX collapse. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is like a local bottom, I would imagine. I don't even want to predict that. What happened was XRP stop losses and leverages were wiped out after hours on purpose for institutions to buy below $2, all in the span of 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean the timing of it was pretty insane. The announcement when it was. But what do you mean after hours? Crypto doesn't. Crypto markets don't close. Not more than FTX. Yeah, in terms of percentages, I can't see it being more than FTX. There's more money in crypto now than there was during the FTX crash. That maybe is what he means, the total amount. You have about 100K in altcoins, all in the top 100. Yeah, man, I would be. I mean, it depends what coins you have, but should certainly do well. Should certainly do well from here. You were seeing different prices between CoinGecko and Coinbase. Well, with the same coin, you mean different prices? Probably just not updating. Takes time to update on certain sites. Why are people saying Bitcoin is dead? Because anytime it goes down, they say that. Anytime it has a decent drop, they say that. Sell that 100K in alts and stick it to BTC. I would not. I mean, it's not financial, but I would not recommend doing that because it is a Bitcoin market right now. I mean, the Bitcoin dominance is just finally dropping. I mean, I guess if you wanted, but if you're in the top 100 alts, I think that's some pretty good caution. You're in blue chip alts. You're in the top 100 alts. People just don't like alts at all. They think you know, they're highly speculative. But I mean, BTC at this point, it's kind of in terms of its cycle, you know, maybe another 40 or 50% increase, maybe. Normally Monday is a very bad day at when this happens. It's just the way it is. BTC up over 80% in 1 year. People calling it dead. Yeah, but I don't think people are really calling it dead. I mean, there's always going to be a few people that say that, but alts are basically Ponzi schemes. If you ask me, can you make money? Yes, but someone's always left holding the. Yeah, but not alts like in the top 10, top 20. Those are alts that have survived 2-3 cycles at this point. I mean, there's people that have been holding for a decade with some of those coins. I understand what you're saying with lower coins that only last a cycle, for sure. Hillary Clinton praising Trump for peace plan. United States and Qatar have agreed to establish a Qatari Air Force facility in... Man, what the hell is this?
We also value the close cooperation between Doha and Washington that led to the signing of the Gaza Peace Plan on October 8th. This historic achievement underscores what can be accomplished when our nations work together with courage and trust, amongst other partners such as Egypt and Turkey. We further welcome today's signing of the letter of acceptance establishing a Qatari Emir Air Force facility and Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho. This step strengthens interoperabilities, enhance joint readiness, and advance our shared defense goals. Mr. Secretary, together we will continue to deepen this strategic partnership in pursuit of lasting peace and shared security. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we wish you that.
Sign now.
Sign and trade. How about that?
Yeah.
Exchange.
Hen ASMR.
Gosh. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it probably has something to do with Trump getting the new Air Force One. Probably something with that. Yeah, that's a strange thing there.
The original No Kings protest was 250 years ago. Americans decided they didn't want to live under the rule of King George III. They declared their independence and fought a bloody war for democracy. We've had 2.5 centuries of democracy since then, often challenging, sometimes messy, always essential. And we've fought in 2 world wars to preserve it. Now we have a would-be king who wants to take it away, King Donald I. Fuck that. We're rising up again this time, non-violently, raising our voices to declare...
Non-violently, after what we just saw with Charlie Kirk. They still try and do the whole their non-violent card.
No Kings. I'm Robert De Niro asking you to stand up and be counted in the nationwide No Kings protest on October 18th. Visit nokings.org to find, volunteer, or host a protest near you.
And so this is why Schumer says he can't, agree to a deal, because, they're having this protest and they would get really angry. They would protest Schumer. Oh man, this guy's got like a 20% approval rating, maybe less.
Have digital ID. It's been taken up on a voluntary basis in huge numbers, not least because it means that you can access your own money, make payments so much more easily than is available with others. So I think now we need to go out and make that case of the...
Libs are the only ones who think Trump is a king. What does that say? Well, it's part of their, they're trying to call Trump a fascist and stuff and say he's authoritarian. So that's why they bring up the king, moniker. Are mob bosses normally more left than right? Italian mob bosses? I don't know their political affiliation. I mean... Starmer is the least popular prime minister in UK history. I mean, but how they got to get him out.
The person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. That a very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me though. I think she might have. She was very nice, and I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24. And I was running for office in 24, all of the transactions that we did in terms of closing. But there are those that say we did so much.
The Vital Message tipped $5 through Super Chat. What is a Ponzi scheme that I keep hearing about in YouTube videos, and how do I avoid falling for one?
What are you referencing? Crypto? I don't know what you're referencing. What Ponzi scheme are you referencing? I mean, ideally, it depends how much you know in terms of investing, But I would just say stick to the basics if you don't know much. Stick to the index funds, maybe Bitcoin, but probably a Bitcoin ETF is better so you don't have to have custodial control over it.
That they should have done it, but I'm happy because I saved millions of lives, many millions of lives. And speaking of somebody that saves lives, don't ever play golf with it, because Keegan Bradley just walked in, one of the greatest golfers in the world. The person who
That's got to be a glitch.
And then I'm coming back, I believe it's Tuesday night, for Charlie Kirk, a friend of mine, a friend of all of ours, a friend of a lot of the people right here. And we're giving him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor you get outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. One's military, one's civilian, but it's the greatest honor. And Erica, his beautiful wife, is going to be here, and a lot of people are going to be here. And then I'm coming back, I believe it's Tuesday night, for
what guarantee did you give Hamas to persuade them that Israel will restart the bombing campaign once the hostages have been exchanged?
Are Gen Z males a failure compared to World War II males? Well, okay, this is the thing, man. You're talking about people growing up in two completely different generations. On average, humans, this is what I think. Humans, just as a default of evolution and technological innovation, they're going to be softer. Now, not every human. I mean, some people will still be rugged, but the average male or female, they're softer. Nowadays, a lot of these females, they don't want to give birth. Males, they don't want to go out, they don't want to fight, they don't want to be masculine. But it's just, in general, I think, as technology continues to evolve, really, people should be in better shape now because we have access to so much. But that's another thing to where, there's a lot of technology, there's video games now. But it's just, I think as society evolves, it's just, unless there's something that's put in place by like a government or something, people are just going to get softer because life is easier. And and that's another thing, like the general way of life is easier now than it was in the 40s. That you can say the 50s, it's easier to buy a home in the 50s, maybe. But the actual, like, life itself it's always going to be easier as long as your society advances, because the technology, like in 20 years it's going to be easier for somebody than it is for us. Just be unless there's like a crazy war that sets civilization back or something. US has feminized back since the 90s. Well, I think it's a common first world issue. I think people just get softer because technology gets better. You don't have to do as much. You know, there were roles that had to be filled in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, even like a job like talking in front of a camera, that really didn't exist. An independent job like that didn't exist. You know, you get more life experience doing things in the real world. I'm not trying to bash myself, but it's just, I mean, this is the type of stuff that happens with... Are things being easier for us, better or worse? Well, it's better because it it's human evolution, it's technological innovation. So it's better that it's easier. It should be easier. It should be easier for our kids. Now, this is where you start arguing, well, because of feminism and women entering the workplace, it's actually the immigration, the competition, it's made it harder. But just from a sense of livability, it should always get easier. I mean, that's a failed society if you go 20 or 30 years down the line and you have a worse way of life. But that's also argument of like, well, if the middle class is poorer, then is it really better? Even if the technology gets more advanced and things like that. That's an argument. But the general like living situation should get better for average people. If you have a good society in 30 or 40 years, and it's going to create softer and softer people. The hope is that when people, have all the access to all the information, they should be in good shape. They should want to be in good shape. They should want to live longer. Evidently, that seems to be, there's gluttony. It's easier to play video games. It's easier to eat all this food because it tastes better. What's your take on Asmongold? I think he stumbled into the political realm, and he's obviously made it work. But he was already, he was a gamer, I think, and so he started doing the political stuff. And so many people lost millions on. I don't think they lost millions. You have to be very rich to lose millions of dollars. I mean, maybe in total there was millions liquidated, I'm sure, but Bitcoin Daily Target ETF, BTC, and ProShares Ultra Short Bitcoin ETF both suffered heavy losses. Exactly. Compare how we mine 10 tons of coal now versus 50 years ago. Any good government wants their people to strive for a better life. And absolutely, it's technological advancement. We can evolve into having machines do. Look at crops. Look at machinery and farming, and all of that being. I mean, the farms are going to be. There's going to be like a supercomputer that manages the farms.
Alexis Jun tipped $5 through Super Chat. Young people are more depressed than ever before. Your name is literally Depressed Ginger. So Zoomers really living easier than boomers?
Well, they are living easier in the sense of life is... Okay. I guess it depends on, how whatever you do with your life. But they're living easier in the sense it's there's a higher standard of living for an average person than there was 50 or 60 years ago. That's just the reality. Now, you can say, well, socially, because of certain things, it's harder. I mean, and that's another issue. But then we're parsing through mental health problems. If you want to talk about like depression and all that stuff. I mean, that's, that I'm talking about like raw numbers and like actual advancements. But it seems like there's a lot of this where it's like, well, life is so much harder is so much harder for us. Well, I mean, it depends on what you mean by that. In general, with technology, life is easier for us than it was, for people in the 1950s, the 1960s. The problem is life is too easy. It depends whose life you're talking about, man. I mean, there is an unhappy medium, but it's like we're talking about millions and millions of people. You can't really, unless you're trying to like introduce socialism or something. Like, how do you really scale all of that and make everyone's? It's just like, there is ways for anyone to be to have prosperity in the United States. Poor people, rich people, but it's just like. You think young people are going back to church to add meaning to their lives, something larger to live for? Yeah, I think that as well. That seems to be happening. There's an uptick. A lot of young Catholics now.
Alexis Jun tipped $5 through Super Chat. Do mental health has gotten worse for younger generation compared to boomers? What caused that? Maybe the easier technology.
Yeah, no, technology 100% caused that. There's not as much social interaction, human-to-human interaction. That's as simple as answer as I can give you on that. It's because of people talking on the internet, not talking face-to-face. It's a big problem for humans, and it festers and it creates problems when it comes to mental health. So I think that, imagine like the numbers in terms of, dating is a good example with the dating apps. And just in general, the online technology. You had to go out and meet people, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. That's really like a human interaction. So I think that's a major issue nowadays for sure. COVID too. Absolutely. But we are out of COVID, and we've been out of COVID for a few years. I think COVID's going to have more of an impact, not on people like me or even like a few years. COVID's going to have a huge impact on like third and fourth graders going into COVID, developing through COVID. That's a big problem, I think. That really affects younger kids' development, is something like COVID, and wearing the mask and not being able to see your teacher. It's that type of stuff it's very bad for development. Older kids, it's bad too, but it's bad for everyone, man. That COVID shit was oof, because it's almost like you don't even treat people like, because everyone's wearing a mask, you can't even see emotions and stuff. And I know, in Ohio, it was like there was like a 2-month period where you had to wear masks, but other than that, it was all right. I know some states was really bad. Like you had to work out in a mask in some states. Thoughts on Asmongold saying to make violent protesters slaves?
Alexis Jun tipped $5 through Super Chat. So because of this, we can say technology has not made our lives easier.
Well, technology has made... Well, it has made our lives easier. You look at the medications and things like that. And so it has made our lives easier from the 50s and the 60s compared to now. But bro, you're talking about more like social issues. If you're talking about just living properly, the lives are easier. If you're talking about all this different social stuff and you want to factor that in and finding a family, yeah, it's probably harder. Are less humans' interactions leading to lower testosterone rates? You read it's becoming a major issue. Yeah, there is a big issue with lower testosterone in men. People say it's microplastics. They're going to have to look at... they say it's microplastics. They do all these studies, and... I've actually... You can tell with the plastic and stuff like that, it's... it's a big issue. So I don't know exactly what's lowering the testosterone. I'm sure it's a number of different things. You know, it's modern stuff probably. Sedentary lifestyles. Yeah, no, you're right. That does lower testosterone. Sedentary, especially if you're really unhealthy, that lowers testosterone. You know, we got a lot of people really unhealthy in the country. I've even thought about possibly working out again. It's just, you know, people really should work out, but everyone says that. It's like, what's the point? Can't imagine seeing me in a mask. Yeah. I mean, look at Trump in a mask and how bad it looks. I mean, listen, it is what it is. If they make you wear one. But I wasn't in school at all during that, because you go to school, I think those kids all had to wear masks the entire time. Imagine learning like that. Oof. Yeah, I mean, working out can help for sure. It actually gives you, you know, a euphoric feeling at certain times when you work out. It does. There is a reward to it, because I used to work out every day. Actually 6 days a week. You know, you shouldn't work out 7 days a week, but you know, you work out at least 4 or 5 times a week. You do grow to like it, and then at a certain point, there's like a fall off process of working out, and you don't like it as much, and it's like every young person goes through it. Is it fair to say that for plagues, the government can impose restrictions? It's just that you don't think COVID was bad enough to force it? Well, COVID was novel. I mean, they didn't really know with COVID, man. I think it's just horrible in general. You're really in a no-win spot. You're in a no-win spot. You don't know how bad it is. You don't know what it's going to do. You don't know the long-term reactions of getting it, and what it's going to do to your respiratory system. It's all bad. We can sit here and say, well, they should have done this. It's just, when something like that happens and we're all turned into like robots and we have to stay home, it's just so bad for human beings. You work out 5 days a week for 2 years and you could never imagine the changes you've seen since. Yeah, I mean, it does. It can help you, certainly. It can help people. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. I think, you know, a lot of people sometimes overrate the working out stuff. But it depends on the person, I think. It really depends on the person. But listen, you got to be in at least decent shape, I would say. That's like the bare minimum. You got to be in decent shape. Especially if you're a younger person. I mean, you get older, it's easier to get fat. Your metabolism slows. Spanish flu during World War I was way deadlier than COVID. Oh no, COVID had the problem with COVID was the manipulation of the numbers. Basically, COVID was very non-threatening for young people. I mean, we all know this, and we knew that even then when it was out. The problem was they would say, well, this is how many people died. And 99.9% of them, they were all over the age of 75, and they all had other conditions. And it was like 99%. Because I remember getting COVID, and, you know, I was sick for about 4 days. It was like Omicron or whatever. I don't know. And one of the days it was like, it kind of felt even worse than a flu. But the other days it was like, it just felt bad. But, you know, it's one of those things to where a lot of it was manipulation by the pharmaceutical companies. They wanted everyone to get the shots. And, you know, I think the worst thing was forcing the kids to get it. So that, you know, if you were a kid and you didn't get the shot, you couldn't go to school. You know, so that was really what. And also, I mean, in college, it was the same thing. For a lot of people at jobs, it was the same thing. They forced the shot, and a lot of people had to get it. And I didn't have any of that, so I just asked my doctor, and he said, no, you don't have to get it. Why are Gen Z women so controlled by social media? Well, it's just a byproduct, I think, of everyone being on social media. That's what it is. It's a byproduct of it. A lot of those women, the feminist stuff is always, it's always reverted. There's always the femininity that comes out in 99% of these feminist women anyways. Like, it's the most performative bullshit thing. In retrospect, they should have put a bunch of resources into protecting seniors and let everyone else be normal. Yeah, I agree for sure. The seniors were very vulnerable, and a lot of them had other conditions, whatever it's called, other conditions, comorbidities, I think is what it was. And so yeah, those are the ones that really suffered, and a lot of that's the problem, is a lot of the young people, it's fine. It's 99.9% survival rate. I mean, you do get some stories where people, they say long COVID, things like that. I mean, it's a novel virus. It is, because I know it's a lot of people on the right are like, oh, it's fake and all this. No, I mean, it is real. Sometimes people develop certain symptoms to or conditions to viruses that are new, that enter their system. And sometimes it happens. But I mean, it's a no-win situation. Trump did brag about the warp speed and stuff, and that's a definitely, for a lot of Republicans, that's something that's a stain on his resume, that's for sure. That Zero Hedged guy is livid. Dude, I had to unfollow that account. Dude, that dude, it's every single time crypto goes down. It's like, I thought you were this news, like, independent site. Why is there this constant bitching every time crypto goes down? Did you see that? I unfollowed it because I had followed it for like 7 or 8 months, but it was like, dude, I'm just done with you bitching. You're like an independent news organization, and every time crypto goes down, it's some smart-ass remark. It's like, we're all getting crushed here, dude. And the dude's like a swing trader or something. It's just constant crying about it. Pretty sure his vaccine worked, though. Well, he had to get the vaccine. Well, he had to get it. I mean, you look at Trump and his age and his health, or his condition. The older people should have gotten the vaccine, because those were the ones that were vulnerable. Zero Hedge is a crybaby. He also has TDS, but tries to hide it. Yeah, but he normally likes with the economic numbers. He'll pump up the economic numbers with Trump. But he's like they're like nerds. They're obsessed with all these different economic numbers. They constantly tweet out things. It's like, all right, man. Like, but then it's just the bitching constantly about crypto. Oh my. Whatever happened to Dr. Fauci? He got that preemptive pardon. Could you believe that? Remember that? I guess maybe that's why nobody really talks about him anymore, because he got a preemptive pardon, Fauci. That's what Trump's going to get, I'm sure. You better believe that. Yeah, they should not have done that. I think a lot of Democrats were saying that's a miscalculation for them to give out preemptive pardons like that.
Mean Gene in Florida tipped $99.99 through Super Chat. DG, your COVID take is spot on, so smart.
Thank you, I appreciate it. That's a nice donation. Thank you for that donation. That's a whale donation right there. You're donating that after the day we had in crypto. That's a flex. Florida whale. Preemptive pardon all the way back to 2014, fucking horseshit. Yeah, right. The Hunter Biden preemptive pardon you're talking about. Thoughts on the pandemic theory? I don't know, man. I think you're always going to be dealing with conspiracies like that. I feel like something like that, I haven't heard much, so I don't think it's real, but a theory like that, if it had any legs, people would probably be talking about it more. I mean, that pandemic did seriously hurt Trump's chances to win re-election. he was kind of an unpopular incumbent, but certainly you could say he was probably going to win re-election just because at the time incumbents with a decent enough economy won re-election, even though he was unpopular. I think that was the worst possible thing. And also Biden was a weak candidate, even though he had the name recognition. You talk about Trump arrested Letitia James for his revenge against the New York charges. I didn't talk about that, but it doesn't surprise me, especially after she ran her mouth like she did. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's like there's no actual, it's like a clown lawfare. When you run your mouth, we're going to investigate Trump just because he's Trump. I mean, obviously there's going to be a vendetta against her for that. If you compare Trump's first term and his second term, he's definitely fair to say he's actually popular now. He's definitely more popular than he was his first term, I believe. You've had a chronic cough since the East Palestine train derailment, but live outside the area for any compensation. East Palestine, Ohio? Yeah, that was it. That was, they crashed that train on purpose, and the water looked like gasoline from the streams. That was really bad. That was under Buttigieg. They said, well, it's better to crash it here in the lower populated area. So they derailed it. You bought some Ethereum at 3,500 when it was way over. So yeah, that's a great price. I mean, I don't think Ethereum's going to go crazy, but you're looking at...
Alexis Jun tipped $5 through Super Chat. 100% was the reason Trump lost. It was a very close election even with the virus going on. How did Biden get 81 votes when Kamala didn't come close?
Right. Well, I mean, we can say, well, they cheated, but what liberals will say is because in 2020 they hated Trump so much and they were galvanized against him. But the thing is with liberals, I mean, there is video of them with ballot harvesting that is illegal. There's like black women that have all these ballots. The only ballots you're supposed to have is you and your family. When they've got like 70 ballots and they're jamming them in the mailbox, that's illegal. So you are right on that. The amount of votes that they got, it's like rampant mail-in ballot harvesting. And there's videos of them. You can't do that. You can't ballot harvest like that. I mean, we know the rules to it. It's like, but it's whatever. Yeah, the amount of mail-ins was just insane. I mean, because that's the whole thing. It's like, they're going to get Biden over the finish line with this crazy amount of voter turnout. And it's just voter turnout. We never seen anything like that. And then they have, a suppressed turnout the next election. They like to cope and say, well, it's because we were so galvanized against Trump and it wasn't like that with Biden in 2024. We got complacent. You already know what they're going to say. But they need to explain those videos, the ballot harvesting. Yeah, I remember those lawsuits, dude. That entire thing was a mess. All those lawsuits, people just wanted to move on from it. Fox got sued really bad for the Dominion stuff, and apparently Dominion just got bought out by conservatives. We've come full circle. Dominion voting. Remember Dominion voting. Remember them putting up like sheets of drywall to cover it up, or sheets of paper to cover up the electors.
Alexis Jun tipped $5 through Super Chat. What the most possible conspiracy in your opinion in the past decade? Mine is Epstein.
Well, what do you mean by that? Like just conspiracy in general, or like the biggest conspiracy? Well, I mean, the 2020 election's a good one. I don't think there's... I mean, COVID, you could have theories on them doing it on purpose. Epstein, yeah, I mean, Epstein, obviously, there's the Israel involvement. Now they're saying there's potentially Liberals will say there's Trump involvement. I don't think there was any. But there's obviously some type of cover-up going on with Epstein. I mean, but it's more of it's a governmental problem. It's not really a party-specific problem with Epstein. If you know the history and the context of Trump and Epstein, you would understand that Trump is probably not involved. But I'm not saying what Trump is doing is good. But, you know, and that ties directly to Israel as well. Russia hoax. How about the Russia hoax? That's another one we've come full circle. Trump supports Ukraine now. How amazing is that? The Russia hoax. But Trump is right in the sense to where they're trying to tie him to Epstein on nothing, and he's not. He wasn't involved in that. He is right on that. But obviously they didn't handle it well. You thought the Chinese strategy to impose export control as leverage for the upcoming meeting with Trump was really stupid. Now they get 100% tariff slapped on them. That's why they have a meeting with Trump. So that's why they did that. And then they wanted to negotiate that with Trump. Well, I mean, that makes sense. When is their meeting? Biden administration was a socialist test run. Now, the establishment Dems are not socialist. I mean, I guess that party could turn socialist, but it would have to be taken over, I believe. Versus these establishment Dems. It'd be taken over by young people. Seeing estimate of 20 billion liquidated now. Well, you know, a lot of this is just horrible timing. You know, it's such a bullish time in the market. People got caught with their pants down. And Trump put out the timing, put out the tweets at the worst time as well. On a Friday afternoon. If it's a psyop, why are the Dems so eager to release them? Well, I think the Dems are pressuring Trump knowing he's not going to release them or he's not going to release the key components of them. It makes them look better without anything coming out. But I mean, also, it's like if there's just horrible stuff against Republicans, the Dems for sure would have released that when, very likely during the October surprise. I mean, that's the perfect time. It would sink Trump. You know, they had the White House during the last election season. Chinese spy balloon, New Jersey drones. Those are kind of like niche things. It doesn't, I mean, the New Jersey drones, I think, were commercial drones. They were just by like a private company or something. Zero Hedge celebrating crypto liquidation.
Alexis Jun tipped $5 through Super Chat. Can California cops arrest masked ICE agents for violating the masked California law enforcement law?
California cops arrest masked ICE agents for... Yeah, I mean, did that go into effect? I wonder what's going to be happening with that. I think that's all for show. I think it's a political maneuver by Newsom. I don't really think he intends to... I mean, what are you going to arrest the ICE people for trying to remain anonymous? It's, you know, the entire thing is a mess. The ICE people should be able to deport illegal immigrants. Obviously, a lot of these illegal immigrants don't want to go back. And on top of that, like, it's so... People don't even realize, you know, these people will work for less because a lot of times they send the money back in remittance and it goes way further in Mexico. So they're just extracting money from the United States. Like, bro. I know people are like, they want to have compassion and stuff, but... Yeah, Trump's trying to do this thing. This reminds me of Mark Cuban. This is the Mark Cuban shit. Cuban's probably pissed. You know, they try and find the lowest price for a prescription drug. Trump says he hasn't canceled his meeting with Xi. No mask Cali law doesn't go into effect until January 1st. All right, so we're not going to really know for a bit. Yeah, this is nice. I hope they build this. This would be great. That's a beautiful arch. They build that. Was Trump coin a scam? Yeah, the coin was a scam. Yeah, yeah, it was. Because just the nature of the tokenomics of it were just really bad, and I don't know what I mean. Obviously, everything's tanking now, so but it was not done in good faith. There's a way to do a coin like that, a fair launch, have fun with it. It was not done in good faith. It was an extraction. So it's an extraction. They're going to try and impeach him. It's not going to work. That's why they need they're not going to win anything in 2026. Even if they get the House, they're not going to have the Senate. Whatever happened to Greenland? Yeah, I mean, I saw people were right. There actually was a recent article by like some of the leadership in Denmark. They're like, well, Trump has not given up on Greenland. He still wants it. So I don't know if they know something, or I mean, I'm sure there probably is still talks about Greenland, but it's one of those things where it's not very popular. So thoughts on the over 1 million deportation number going around? That would include self-deportation. Well, I heard it was 2 million. I don't know about the 1 million number. I heard it was 1.6 self-deportations, 400K physical removals. I guess interior removals, whatever you want to call them. I don't know if that's right or not. I think they're cooking the numbers a bit.
Alexis Jun tipped $5 through Super Chat. Why are you still supporting Trump for scamming his own fan base? Doesn't this make Democrats correct that Trump is a slimy businessman?
No. I never told people to buy that coin. I said you should stay away from it. So I didn't support Trump in that business endeavor. Trump's going to have successful business endeavors. He's going to have business endeavors that maybe are a little bit iffy. I never told people to buy the Trump coin, bro. And I never supported the Trump coin. I told people to stay away from the Trump coin because of the amount of locked supply and the vesting schedule. It doesn't make any sense for a meme coin to have a vesting schedule. But it's like, dude, there's a Trump thing. It's probably a bunch of other people. It's a cabal. Barron Trump is in it. I mean, it's all these people. So it's like Trump probably doesn't even know about it. That's one of those things to where, I'll tell you this much. They present Trump. They say, we can make you money. He says, all right, go ahead, do it. Make sure you're not scamming anyone. And these are other people that probably do it for Trump. I'm not trying to, not blame Trump, but, Trump's a boomer. He doesn't really know how it works. If he doesn't know how it works, I mean, you can't really blame him. No one forced them to buy it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, but you know how it is with the fan base. People are going to buy it because it's related to Trump. I mean, you could have made a good amount off of it. Trump scammed you twice with Trump coin and Melania coin. Yeah, Melania coin was brutal. I mean, Trump took so much liquidity and volume out of the market. So much. Can you do a video on crypto we boomers don't understand? You should probably stay away from crypto. Stay away from crypto if you're a boomer. Are white men becoming more radicalized? Well, I think younger people in general are more radicalized on both sides, but yeah, 100%. Look at the anti-Israel. Look at the anti-Israel stuff. Yeah, I did see that podcast, the Red Scar stuff. Buy BTC boomers, it's literally the boomer coin. Buy a Bitcoin ETF, that's what I would say if you want to get into crypto, or an Ethereum ETF. Trump admitted to abusing the tax code in H-1B, which you think is base, to be honest. Well, all the billionaires abuse the H-1B system and tax breaks. It's just... It's obvious he zapped. It's obvious he shocked his dog. I mean, let's just call it what it is. What pollster is this? Republican pollster. Republican pollster with a tie. Thoughts on the Charlie Kirk assassination? What's it? The assassination is degraded into. It's amazing how the FBI failed to control the narrative. There's been no... The problem with the FBI is there's been no recent statement. They haven't really updated anyone on it. That's the issue. You know, they were updating people daily, and then it just stopped abruptly, and there's been no updates. So people are going to run with their own narratives now. You know, they set a narrative. They set a certain narrative, but then they just stopped talking. And I guess because he's got a hearing upcoming, but it's like there has to be more information. You wonder when the Real Clear Politics average will reflect the multiple types. It depends if they're involved in the composite. They might not be involved. No, I think neighborhood research. I don't know if neighborhood research is. Yeah, I saw Sneeko got unbanned. You know, they're trying to unban a lot of people. So we'll see what happens. But a lot of people, they really should unban people because banning them for anything related to COVID or anything like that is really bad. And it's not right. Thoughts on Valkyrie saying, why worry about Hassan's dog when there's a genocide? Yeah, that's pathetic. I mean, that's like just obfuscate. It's just like anything you do, oh, it doesn't matter because there's a genocide going on. It's not even going on anymore. You know, there's been a ceasefire by Trump. But it's like, even if there was, you can't just use that to get out of any blame. And that's what people have called them out on for doing now. It's like they use the Palestinians as a crutch to get out of any blame. The loading emoji. That was like 3 years ago. Did they do an autopsy on Charlie Kirk? They had to have. You know, it's not public. People said there was no autopsy. I think there had to have been an autopsy because it was a murder. And it would have happened that night after the murder. You watched a lot of Hassan. He raised the dog on the stream for the last 10 years. Yeah, but that's an even bigger issue. You have a shock collar on a dog that's 10 years old. That seems ridiculous. But on top of that, why is the dog sleeping in that place constantly? I mean, is the dog not allowed to get up? The dog is constantly sleeping there and sitting there during the day. Dude, Cal Raleigh is not the MVP. Look at Aaron Judge's playoff run, bro. It does feel like the dog is a prop. The dog is constantly in camera frame, and it's just sitting on a bed the entire time. Does the dog move? Is the dog allowed to move? The dog moved off, and he started getting flustered and screaming. So I don't know. I've already seen this clip. Where is this? I gotta take a piss. I'll be right back.
Let's just talk about the immigration thing. The way it looks is horrific. When you're just arresting people in front of their kids and just normal, regular people that have been here for 20 years, that everybody who has a heart can't get along with that.
No.
Everybody who has a heart sees that and goes, that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be the only way to do this.
Right.
Because you have to think, look, yeah, we have to have a border. Yes, it should have been secure. Yes, they should make sure you know who everybody is before they get in.
Yeah.
But when people been here for 20 years, like, come on, man. That's crazy. Like, let's find a way. If they've been productive members of society for 20 years, no criminal record, they worked the entire time, they paid taxes, find them a pathway to citizenship. Find a way where you can do this thing that you want to do, which is keep terrorists and cartel members from getting across the border with drugs that kill 100,000 people a year. Okay, but also have a fucking heart. Because if you don't, you're not going to get anybody on your side. If you're doing this stuff publicly, throwing women to the ground, handcuffing people, just for existing on the wrong side of the dirt.
Yeah.
Not a criminal. Not the only crime they ever committed was coming over here as a kid.
Yeah.
They probably didn't even know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
You know, a lot of kids got snuck across when they were already born in Mexico. And they've grown up their entire life in America. They can't even speak Spanish.
Yeah, no, I already saw this clip. I talked about it really early on in my stream, if people are wondering. This is the typical Rogan fence sitter. And think about Rogan. He supported Trump, but he didn't endorse Trump until the night before the election. And that was only because of peer pressure and how bad Kamala was. So this is like the typical independent, both sides. I mean, this is exactly what Trump said he was going to do. People on the right are criticizing Trump for not deporting enough people. Because there's no way he deports everyone. There's too many illegals in the country. Normie, moderate Joe, but that's exactly what it is, man. It's these social, like the social credit points almost. Like that's what this is. And it's like, dude, you're a grown ass man. You should understand as a country, you want to help people. Sure, we want to help people. We have the most illegal immigrants out of any country on earth. There has to be at a certain point, it's enough. It's like, you're a grown man. You should understand. It's tough for these people. We get it. But we ran on the deportations. We're going to deport them. We haven't deported enough people. Dude, my mouth is so dry. I should have got water. And then the dude, you know, that's like his friend who's sitting with him because they remember they would constantly do podcasts together. What's that guy's name? The comedian with him. Rogan is as bad as political commentary as he is with comedy. Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of people say Rogan is he's an overrated comedian because his podcast is so large. Duncan Trussell, yeah, that's it. Duncan. Yeah, it is getting cold. It's nice. I like that it's getting colder. Like today was the first day I could, you know, wear long sleeves, long pants.
package line tip $9.99 through Super Chat. Curious to hear your long-form thoughts on Gaza peace. TBH, I think Trump and Israel played things masterfully. Carrot and stick diplomacy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful it lasts. I think the encouraging thing has to be Israel is getting, because Israel has the ability to extend it and try and completely, eliminate any chances Palestinians have of coming back to Gaza. And I thought they were going to annex territories of the West Bank. That would be a terrible look under Trump, and that would just strengthen the anti-Israel people within, the people that hate Trump and within the Republican Party say he's a kiss up to Israel. So I think it's good that they're not getting any land. They're not getting any annexed land. And I think Israel's reputation is in such a bad spot that they're trying to repair it. So they're like, well, let's cut our losses. Let's end this war for now and try and repair our reputation. They're getting a lot of a lot of foreign countries do not like what Israel is doing. Thoughts on Cubs Brewers Game 5? I'd have to see the pitching matchup, but I would take the Brewers. They're the home team. You think Rogan is just worried he might lose money if he stays right wing? I highly doubt that. I think it's more of a social thing. Rogan has enough money. They allowed Rogan to say all the stuff about the vaccine and stuff. It's like a social thing with his friends and stuff, and I think that's what it is. I think it's just his thoughts. I mean, how can you at that age with the amount of money you have, you shouldn't be censoring your thoughts to try and appeal better at that point. I mean, he's worth like $50 million or whatever it is. I don't know what his net worth is. Maybe it's $100 million. Rogan is 100% genuine. He never tries to bullshit it. Yeah, I don't think he's doing this for appeasement to advertisers. Is Pritzker actually a legitimate 2028 candidate? You don't see Dems getting behind a 400-pound Jewish billionaire. Yeah, I think it's a horrible combination for where the Dems are right now. There's no way. Pritzker's only hope would be like a VP spot because of the amount of money he has. So if he can fund a lot of the campaign. But I don't see any way Pritzker could be the lead on the ticket. The ticket would probably collapse under the weight, first off. And second off, it just, for the Democratic Party, it doesn't make sense. You think there will be another 9/11 type attack inside the United States? Well, it's virtually impossible. It's virtually impossible because where are there two identical buildings that are that? It's not realistic to expect something like, I mean, hopefully nothing happens, but I'm just saying, like, the Twin Towers, two 110-story skyscrapers right next to each other. To have something like that happen again, it seems impossible. All right, guys, I'm gonna end it there. I appreciate the donations tonight. Thank you for stopping by. You're talking, will there be another mass killing done by terrorists? I mean, it's always possible. You can't predict it exactly. You don't know when it's gonna be. Would a working sprinkler system has made it? No, the sprinkler system wouldn't have mattered if it was working, and it worked in the lower areas, but it wouldn't have mattered. That temperature was too hot for a sprinkler system to do anything. Maybe in some of the like contained areas of the fire. All right, guys. I will see you later.